right, man. What's up, man? How's everybody doing? Everybody's good. Some interesting news. Deshaun Watson only given 6 games. 6. Now, Corey just said they're going to appeal the NFL, which is necessary, and they were going to anyway. The interesting thing, though, I don't think a lot of people knew, but the process has changed, and this was done by a third-party arbitrator who was a judge. And has anybody read the 15 pages?
I don't have that kind of time.
I did read some of the screenshots of highlights of it that got posted online, and some of that was wildly inconsistent, is I guess how I would put it.
I mean, I've heard that she clearly thought that he wasn't telling the truth. That's what I heard.
There were parts that were conflicting in it. Like she acknowledges he violated personal conduct policy in 3 separate ways.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like she absolutely believed the accounts of the women.
Mm-hmm.
Said it's one of the most egregious cases that the NFL has had to issue out a suspension for. But then, like 2 paragraphs later, chides the NFL for trying to give a more severe punishment, because the NFL didn't give notice of more severe punishments previously, even though they did, because it's written in the personal conduct policy. And you just acknowledge it is the most egregious case that the NFL has ruled on. So, of course, they're going to go for a more lengthy suspension. Like it just completely conflicts with itself.
What do you think, Craig? 6 games.
Was
anybody surprised? Craig, were you surprised?
I'm surprised by how little it was, just given the fact that, I mean, like, I could understand maybe if it was like one person or, like a handful of people, maybe like up to like 3 or 4 or 5 or something like that. But it was like 24, 25. So, I mean, it might have even been more, I think, or what, I don't know. But he was still at 25.
Mm-hmm.
Like that should be enough. And I mean, and it's still like his word against theirs, but I mean, it's 25 people pretty much all saying the same thing. So I could understand if it was like a one-on-one or something like that, and it's his word against hers or whatever, and you go back and forth. But 25, that's just, it's kind of crazy. And I mean, it's a female judge. So I kind of thought maybe with her, coming down with the ruling or being part of the ruling, it was going to be way more. But I mean, 6 games, that's a joke to me. And I mean, I do commend the NFL, because they had to go back and they had to appeal this, because the optics look bad.
Very
one
bad.
thing. I mean, even though it really wasn't on their end, but I mean, it's kind of part of their. I mean, it's the whole process, and it's the NFL. I mean, he's part of the NFL, so it just looks bad from that point. And then, like, obviously you're dealing with women, and you want women to be a part of the NFL, or at least be fans and enjoy the NFL and be welcome, basically. And you've got that going on, and it just doesn't look good. So they had to come out and they had to appeal it, which I'm glad that they did, because playing football is not a right. You know what I'm saying? It's a privilege. Like you're privileged to play football. I mean, but just because you can throw a football or catch a football or whatever it is, doesn't mean like you should be doing this to women or anybody, men, whatever, animals or whatever. So I mean, the fact that this happened, it's a bad look. But I like it. I mean, maybe the NFL's turning the page on this, because I think you put out the text message of but previous suspensions that happened, and I was looking it up on Wikipedia, or I Googled it or whatever it is, and then you got like Calvin Ridley suspended for a year, Montez Burfict got
12.
Yeah, so
Martavis Bryant, Josh Gordon for a year for pot.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just bad. It looks bad. I guess if it affects the integrity of football, the integrity of the shield, like betting on games, you get a harsher suspension. Versus
Depends
if
who
you
you are with that. Anyway, go.
sexually assault or some type of sexually whatever it is with women, it's just okay. You get 6 games, like it's weird. So
Yeah.
it's just a bad look, man. But I think if they can get away, not get away, if they can come back from this and actually get him to, because I know the NFL, from what I've been hearing or whatever, they said it on ESPN, whatever it is, NFL Live, I think. They said that the NFL wanted a year, at least a year.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll push back on this and maybe they'll at least get at minimum a year suspension.
Yeah, it's what I saw this evening was an indefinite suspension with a minimum of a year. So I'd imagine before next season, he would have to apply for reinstatement and a hefty fine to go along with it. I've also seen a report that the NFL offered Watson a 12-game suspension with a $10 million fine, and his camp turned it down.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? Is that he didn't get fined all last year. So he got paid every single penny last year. And then this year, you got a fully guaranteed $230 million contract. And then they penalized it, or they worked it out some way so that
he
way
only makes $1 million this year. Yeah. $1 million.
Yep.
His agent is phenomenal, by the way.
And he's also not getting fined as of, and he's not getting fined as of now.
Nope.
Yeah,
the whole 6-game suspension thing. So it's just a weird.
It's very
bad
weird.
looking.
I think the NFL, on top of a year suspension, should fine him for 1 year's worth of the average annual value of his contract.
Yeah, because they did it. I mean,
Cleveland went along with a pretty shady attempt to clearly avoid a suspension or him losing money with a suspension, knowing a suspension was coming.
Yeah, that's why they're trying to get that hefty fine. Because they know.
I think it's a really, really bad look for Cleveland to go along with it.
Yeah. And so my thoughts is, first of all, I kept hearing it. People kept saying it. You listen to Undisputed and Colin Cowherd and his First Take, and they all saying the same thing. Their sources are 6 to 8. And I was like, nah, that can't be. Right? That can't be. But it was. 2 things. I did do a year of law school, and I know that Sue Robbins, they call it a rule of law. So the harshest, she's going on precedent before, which law is so funny, right? I call it like gray. So the color gray could be spelled 2 different ways and mean the same thing. Grey, Gray. Exact same spelling, the exact same meaning, but spelled 2 different ways. That's how law is. That's how and they both mean the color gray, but they both have different other meanings. That's what law is. But that's neither here nor there. That's just my own definition. So I wish that he got more games. I do. I wish they just give him a year, fine him, and get this over with. But now they're saying, even if the NFL appeals it, they're going to take it to federal court, and it's going to take some time for him to actually start his suspension. That's what I heard. So I don't know. Is it going to be something different?
So I don't remember who. I just saw it on Twitter 20 minutes ago. Somebody threw out the argument that, say Watson in the NFLPA take it to federal court, it gets pushed off a year. Inevitably, they're going to lose, more than likely, because the NFL is just following the collective bargaining agreement. The player signed off on this, so it is what it is for them. But when you say Watson lose, going to want? Yeah. That the NFL is eventually going to win in federal court because the CBA explicitly allows the NFL to do this. The players agreed to follow that agreement. And would Deshaun Watson be willing to take that risk, knowing that he's likely to lose that court case and then serve his suspension when he's actually making salary next year.
Yeah, because that's what's going to happen. So I wonder how, if the NFL asks for 12, they go to court and the judge says 8, and then it doesn't happen until next year. Yeah, he would, right? Or he would get.
Well, I don't know if a judge would. I think the NFL, at least my understanding of the new process is the NFL files the appeal and it goes to Roger Goodell. And then it's up to Goodell to either, I think, himself issue a ruling or appoint somebody to issue that ruling. And so the players going, like this lawsuit going to federal court would be like protesting the NFL's even appealing the initial decision because it was a neutral mediator. But since the CBA gives them that power, there's not much they can do.
So even if they go to federal court, if Roger Goodell says year, fines, does it? If they appeal it to federal court, can they? Or
I think that the push to the federal court would be to prevent Goodell from protesting the mediator's ruling. Okay. But if the CBA lays out the path saying the NFL is allowed to do it, they don't really have a path to victory. So it would just essentially be allowing Watson to get on the field this year.
Yeah,
and maybe hoping that a settlement could get a reduced suspension or something.
That's my okay. That was my next thing. So in all, if they, because Roger Goodell he's going to say he needs 12. That's for 6 games is too little.
I think he wants more than 12.
Yeah, well,
so the NFL has stated, at least it's coming out tonight, that the NFL intends or wants to do an indefinite suspension minimum of a season.
Yeah, they want to do a season. I think they were trying to push more, Craig, so they can at least get a season. The minimum is they want is a season. And I think they were listening to, like you said earlier, Craig, women's rights. I think they were listening to a lot of, especially NFL teams, right? I was listening to Odd Couple, and a media member from the Cleveland Browns was like, the women groups here are pissed. They're mad. They're not happy. They're not happy with the 6 games. So the NFL they got to go to full 12. And I think they should, at least. Calvin Ridley getting suspended for betting.
Yeah, I think the precedent argument is a bad one when you put it within the context of other suspensions like that.
But that's
like Michael Kendricks, a linebacker, got suspended 8 games for committing insider trading. 8 games for insider trading. He played for the
that's what the CBA has in place, and they have that in place for another 8 years. I guess I don't know if you can reconstruct some of the stuff that's in the. But unless the NFL can say, okay, we're going to just do this now and just start something, and just start handing out whatever, because the personal conduct policy that we have in place is just not good enough. Because it's not good enough. And unless you're on tape like Ray Rice, or you violate the integrity of football or the NFL, like Calvin Ridley, you're going to get like a 6-game suspension, like Ezekiel Elliott, or I don't know what Hill got when he got suspended. I don't even know if he even got suspended. I can't remember.
Tyreek Hill,
when he had that when he allegedly abused his wife or girlfriend or his kid or whatever.
It was his girlfriend at the time.
So stuff like that. Like,
was it in college?
In college, I believe he had a domestic violence incident, and then in the NFL, it was for child abuse.
Like a couple years ago. Yeah. So
how many games did he get?
He did not get suspended for the child abuse.
Crazy. So it's just that's crazy. But anyway, I guess he didn't have any. I don't know, but like I said, like you have one case versus one. You have one-on-one type of like he said, she said. But in this case, it's 25. She said versus he said.
And it does sound like the lawyer or the judge essentially grouped all 25 allegations into one and considered it one incident, not 25 separate ones, which is insane.
I think one of them still hasn't been paid off, unless
I think two are still out there.
Two, yeah.
And I want to say there were still a few more women that decided not to join the lawsuit against him too.
Yeah, they said it's almost. I think this is the other day. They said that he's almost done all of the.
Yeah, it's all but two that he settled.
The settlements, yeah, and they're working on that now. So, but I mean, that's 6 games is.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like
that's crazy.
The whole situation's been weird from the start. I'm kind of personally wondering when the Houston Texans knew about his behavior, because
they're getting sued
from
too.
the start thought it was weird that a lawyer that was a family friend of the owners suddenly got a hold of this case right after he demands a trade. I wonder if the organization knew about his behavior and then fed the women to that lawyer and stopped covering for him once he demanded a trade.
I believe so, because they have been considered, they have been sued as well. So
and at which point I think the NFL has to investigate, because if the Texans knew about all of this and kept it secret to protect Deshaun Watson, like they should be facing consequences just like the Dolphins are for all of that.
I wish, but the Dolphins kind of got a slap on the wrist. But that's a whole nother segment. The whole other segment, man. That's a whole other segment. You know, and he still denies it, but it's like, okay, come on, man. You know,
I mean, for me, once it came out,
he's like Flores was telling the truth.
Court.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But once it came out in court that Watson acknowledged that at least one of the women was like crying when he left because of the encounter, like that's it. Like that's an acknowledgement of guilt for me. He should. I mean, unless he's just complete clueless and didn't think he did anything wrong, which would be absolutely insane and concerning on its own. Like he knew.
I mean, this is a red flag. 26 women. Anytime you have, I don't know, 50
total, yeah,
masseuses, you know, it's just very different, because NFL players,
there's a lot of smoke there,
are like, they found that odd, right? He's going to
professional athletes on the whole, like,
yeah, it's not going to professional. Like they're first of all, the organization hooks you up with somebody that's a professional. 2, you have people like Aaron Donald has his own specific one person. It's kind of like a chef. You're not going to keep, right? You're gonna have one chef. You're not gonna have 50 different chefs. You're gonna have one chef. You know, one chef.
Most professional athletes at that stature are gonna have their person, and they're gonna bring that one person with them everywhere.
Yes. Yep. You're not gonna have 50 different people, and they're not looking for them on Instagram. To be honest, they're going to a professional. Now, listen, I'm not knocking Instagram. I'm not saying professionals on Instagram. We're on Instagram. I'm just saying I've heard this from other athletes, where even if they do have a massage therapist on Instagram, it's 1, maybe 2, not 50 plus. It's just odd. And then you hear the report.
A lot of smoke there.
Yeah, it's like, it's real creepy. So anyway, NFL, do better, man. Do better, NFL, please.
I mean, I guess to Goodell's credit, the NFL is trying to do better. The 6 games wasn't there. It was the mediator.
It wasn't.
And I think the NFL appealing and pushing a tougher suspension is a step in the right direction for the league in handling these types of incidents.